Peace. I'm your host, Reveal the Law, and this is another episode of the Walking and Talking segment of the Late Bloomer Show. Tonight, I want to pose the question: is it time to give up the slavery story? I'm just saying, let's just lay out the facts. Most of us, grew up being taught the story about Christopher Columbus. We're taught he was this great explorer and he discovered the Americas. He discovered here in America what they describe as Indians. We all know today, we all know that that's a disrespectful term to use to call the native peoples of those indigenous lands. We agree that Indian is not the correct term to call those natives, right? And we're told that he was searching for another route to, to get to India. And when he discovered what is called the Americas, he ran into the natives who, looked similar to what he described as the natives of India. There's a problem here. In 1492, India was not known as India. It was known as Hindustan. Hindustan was not known as India as we know it today until 1947, which is the same year that the CIA was created. That's another topic for another day. In an earlier video, I had asked who was the first person to write about Christopher Columbus. You know, the answer is the correct answer is Washington Irving. He was the first person to write about him in English. He translated whatever records he got from the Spanish, which he received via through the British, and he wrote from that research. Washington Irving is also the author of Rip Van Winkle, as well as Sleepy Hollow. And the genre for the biography he wrote on Christopher Columbus is known as a fictional biography. It was wrote in 1828, which is almost 300 years later from when Columbus supposedly discovered the Americas. If you check into Washington Irving's bio, you'll see that, the people who critiqued his works on Christopher Columbus, you know, um, mentioned how his intentions were nationalistic, meaning that, you know, he was writing for the home team. So, to make their history, his story, look as good as possible, their origins into the Americas. In the words of Malcolm X, Plymouth Rock, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. And another thing I find strange, they say millions of us uh, were transported down the transatlantic slave trade. In James W. Lee's book, One America, One World, think he did the mathematics. He did the whole estimate of the time length of the slave trade, the supposed Atlantic slave trade, and the amounts of trips it would take to transport the numbers that they said they transported of African slaves. And I believe the amount was it would take 43,000 trips. So, you know, I ask you the question: do you believe with that technology that they had navigating boats at that time, the 16, 1700s, the support, the European, do you believe that he was able to pull that feat off, or did he exaggerate? And if he did exaggerate, what would be his intentions to exaggerate his colon his colonization tactics? Uh, I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. You know, this is just my perspective. The research I've done. To come to the conclusion that I don't know if I could go with that slavery story. That we were all slaves. You hear nowadays the native talk is a lot more Native American, uh, if I could use that term respectfully. There's a lot more of that information out there, showing the proof that a lot of us, a lot of our ancestors weren't necessarily, their origins don't begin necessarily with being transported from West Africa into the Americas. You know, you're seeing now that a lot of people are coming forward with information showing that those so-called Indians that Columbus ran into were uh, natives to this land and looked like me and the other original people of this land. That would be his reason for mistaking him being in India, because those people at that time, which was called Hindustan, were melanated people as well. So, you know, another point I would like to bring up is that in the museums, you go to museums all around, the country, the world, they got mummies. They even have, you know, dinosaur bones. But none of the museums I could think of. I'm here in New York. I've been to quite a few. The Museum of Natural History, the Met. Haven't gotten to the Guggenheim yet. But I've noticed that there aren't any remnants of the so-called transatlantic slave trade. You think they would keep at least one boat that they ship those millions of Africans in, right? You have mummies in the museum, but you have no slave ships. You know, um, I question if this piece of his story is authentic. As they say today, that you know, the European, respectfully, uh, might have been capping on, you know, the whole origin of what we call today America. You know, Let me know what you think in the comments. Peace.